Welcome to this week's OK at Work with myself, Sarah Sawyer, my colleague Russell Berger, both attorneys at Offit Kurman. And today we are talking about the importance of having your employees, having had them sign fundamental employment agreements prior to a sale of your business. And when I'm talking about fundamental employment agreements, what does that mean? Well, it could be, depending on your business, could be a number of things, but the basic ones that we tend to see are key employment agreements for executives that might have restrictive covenants in it, depending on the role in the industry, confidentiality agreements, things that, IP protection, those types of documents. So Russell, what are some of the things that when you're taking a look under the hood to prepare when a company's getting ready to sell, what are some things that you look for?
Yeah, I mean, the question that I've shared with clients in the past is, well, what if you were buying? If you were on the other side of this, what are you buying? Or if you're the seller, what is it that you're selling, and how protected is it, or can it be eroded? Can it be washed away? And at least from our kind of practice area in the employment space, that's things like protecting the pipeline, protecting the customers, and protecting your employees and your team. So it's stuff we've talked about on here before. Not necessarily non-compete agreements, but certainly non-solicitation of customers, non-solicitation of employees, intellectual property protections. Things that really are critical to the ongoing operation of the business. You don't want to be in a position where you're selling the business, but someone could walk out the door with the business at the same time, because obviously people aren't going to pay you very much money if that risk exists.
Yeah, I think the intellectual property one is a big one as well, depending on what the industry is. So some of this can be pretty industry specific, both in the realm of non-solicitations and customers and things like that, and how important that might be depending on the business, but then also intellectual property. So if you create a lot of things as a business and your employees are creating a lot of things, or they might have licenses to things, and there's some fundamental things that might need to be in place depending on your industry that a buyer would be looking for to make sure certain things are protected, especially if they're buying what you're creating. So those are things that employers should definitely be thinking about.
Right. And then the other side to this is, what risk exists? What risk could travel following the sale of the business? And even when you structure it, I mean, you can structure deals in a lot of different ways. But employment risk is something that can travel no matter how you structure the business. So it's something that a seller is going to be more, or should be more, cognizant of. So from a buyer standpoint, it's making sure you have your ducks in a row, making sure you're documented, which is what we would say to do in the ordinary course of managing employees anyway. Whether that's having good pay records, good time records, or good investigatory records when there's issues, having a solid handbook in place. I mean, all those things that come with running a tight ship from an employment perspective are things that are going to be looked at, generally speaking, in the due diligence process.
Yeah, and that's why if you're on the sell side of a deal, it's always good to start thinking about these things before you go to market, before you have a buyer potentially, if you're able to, right? So it's always good to kind of start thinking about that ahead of time. I mean, obviously we would always recommend that throughout the course of your business, you should be paying attention to these things, but especially if you haven't been paying attention and you're thinking about selling anytime in the near future, give your employment attorneys some time to get under there and make sure that everything's looking okay and try to fix up anything that maybe isn't. So giving yourself a good runway, by being compliant all the time is always number one. But if you might not be compliant or you might have kind of let some things go, definitely give some runway there to get those things resolved.
Yeah, go in for a checkup before 2 days before the sale. Like not that maybe you've been doing it, maybe you haven't, maybe you've been doing it and just something slips through, but give yourself some time to get things on track if need be.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Russell. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Sarah.